What's the best way to save the most during Black Friday? Well, it's to stay home. What's going on, YouTube? It's the weekend. It's Friday after 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we have our two golden vendors. Our first one inside of Cold Harbor is our luxury furnishing vendor, and we start with Dwarven items. Now, Dwarven items are interesting because they usually are either decently valuable or not valuable at all. For example, you can buy this bad boy for 40,000 and sell it for an average of 27,000, which is like buying high and selling low. Same here with this Dwarven mechanism and these Dwarven items as well. You can see a lot of these, they get a little bit of value or absolutely no value at all. This is going to be our new item for this week. And it is animated and interactable. Those usually do pretty well, but you can see a lot of the other ones basically are the same and they really don't gain a crazy amount of value. The schematics are pretty cool, kind of gives like a, a Da Vinci style room that you could build with a bunch of posters like these. We got some random legs, and then we've got an urn that's also interactable. So for me, these items are actually pretty cool, these 3,500 blades, because you could stack them on shelves to make it look like you got a bunch of weapons on a shelf. Same obviously with this big ass hammer. You can make it look like you get a big old hammer there. And obviously some of these cubes are okay, but really it's this schematics plan that I think is going to be the best winner if you wanted to sell and or use, as well as these spider leg pieces, just because people put them around their houses. But the majority of Dwarven stuff is a huge gamble because not a lot of people like the style. A lot of people spend too much time in Blackreach in Skyrim, and they're like, I don't want to design a house that takes me back there. And next up, we are at our weekend vendor numero dos, the golden vendor inside of our Northern High Rocket. You guys can find these if you need help finding them, ESOhelper.com. Our FanWave website goes into more of the demographic information. But before we jump into them, please hit the like and subscribe button. We're on the road to 35,000 subscribers. And you can see the first item here is from Crypt of Hearts. Now, this one is actually a pretty interesting set. So it gives you weapon and spells of one piece. Not a crazy amount of monster sets do that if you need a one piece to complement your mythic that you're running. Two piece, when you deal direct damage, you have a 15% chance to summon a Lich Crystal after 2 seconds explodes, dealing 6,664 magic damage to all enemies within 4 meters. This effect can occur once every 3 seconds. It scales off your weapon or spell damage. So for me, a set like this with subclassing is actually pretty good. You can run jabs on pretty much every character now. So you have the ability to deal damage pretty consistently, direct damage, also in a huge area around other people. I think this is a pretty slept on monster set when it comes to just early PvE builds that are pretty good, that look cool. You're literally making a gigantic Lich Crystal that's exploding. That's pretty neat. And you're dealing pretty good damage. I think if you're looking for a good starter set, this is not too bad. The only issue is this is the helmet. You could just go out and get this helmet from Crypt of Hearts 2 specifically. So you don't really need to actually buy this for gold. The issue is going to be you're going to need to get the shoulders. And how often do you really need to invest into an early starter game monster set when you realistically could just go get the Oaken Soul Mythic or any other half-decent PvE sets that are craftable these days? You don't really need to go out and get a monster set to complement it. You almost can jump the step and go straight into veteran dungeon sets or just dungeon PvE, DLC dungeons pretty quickly, where you really don't need to get a whole bunch of, middle tier stuff or low mid-tier stuff. So this is like a 7.5 out of 10. The issue is that most of you are going to skip this PvE damage sets. You're just going to go straight to something better. Probably from a DLC dungeon, even though I do think this is a pretty banging set when it comes to how easy it is to proc, how good damage it does. So that's why I had to spend more time talking about it. Next up from Banished Cells 1 is Shadowrend. This one gives you 1 piece of Magicka Recovery and a 2 piece of Summon a Shadowy Clanfear for 15 seconds. The Clanfear deals 908 magic damage and reduces the target's damage done by 5% for 2 seconds. Clanfears can be summoned every 15 seconds and scale off your maximum health. If you have seen a lot of these golden vendors, you could probably guess why this set's bad. And I'll give you a couple reasons. One, we're doing a whole bunch of random shit here. So we're scaling this. One, we're scaling this off of our max health. That's weird. Two, we're dealing 908 magic damage. You might as well be blowing on them aggressively and dealing more damage. And we're applying minor maim, reducing the damage done by 5%. So we have all these random effects. who's using a set like this? Are tanks running this because they have maximum health builds and they just want to reduce the target's damage done by 5%? Maybe, but just run something that does that. Don't waste a 2P set to do that, and you'll get significantly better value from running another way to run that debuff. That's why this set's so bad. And then for PvP, just run literally anything else. Maw of the Inferno makes this set look like Freak of the Tiddlywink set and completely useless by comparison. 6 out of 10. Next up, we are in Unhallowed Grave. Now, this is one of those DLC dungeon sets where I'm like, starting to get a little bit better when it comes to our PvE sets. Rarely do we see a lot of PvE sets in the vendors. This is fun to talk about. We have weapon and spell, crit chance, weapon and spell. When you deal critical damage with a martial melee attack, you summon a lesser Aegis for 11 seconds, and after 2.5 seconds, it spins blades, deals some bleed damage, and this effect can occur every 12 seconds. Interestingly, a lot of people sleep on this set, and it's really easy to build around, but if you don't build sets super often, you might be missing out on this fact, and that's that you could proc this on a back bar. You don't need to deal critical martial damage melee attacks on your front bar, meaning that your front bar can be something completely good or completely different, and that's always a huge benefit when it comes to anything either PvE or PvP related. When you can back bar a set and then only have 3 pieces on your front bar, it opens up additional mythics, it opens up additional monster sets, arena weapons. The building sets is so much more fun when you can have a really good back bar that you can use on your back bar and have a 3-piece out of 5 on your front bar. And wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. You just have so much build variety that you gain access to. I love this set. I don't know how good of a set this is for PvP PvE these days, excuse me. But I do know that ever since a lot of some other really popular dungeon sets got nerfed, like we saw Kinra's kind of slip out of the meta a little bit. We saw Pillar of Nirn slip out of the meta a little bit. I'm going to give this a 9.5. I don't know if this is a 10 out of 10 set because it's competing with so many other trial sets and other really, really good sets. But this is one of the coolest sets in the game. It is guaranteed to give you a lot of damage if you're able to build it properly. And I like it. Next up is the Overland set from Galen and Euphelion. Now, this one is a weird set. So it gives you stam, health, stam. Blocking an attack grants you a stack of inflection for 10 seconds. Up to 3 stacks max. You gain a stack one stack every half second, and you increase your magic and stamina recovery by 106 per stack of inflection. The problem with a set like this, I'll give you a couple seconds to guess if you like in your head, but blocking an attack is not always the most efficient way to build anything. For example, let's say you and I are fighting, right? I could be over there, you could be sitting there blocking like, I'm going to get my stacks up. And I'm just over there like, I'm going to get my crit surge up. I'm going to reactivate my lightning form. I'm going to get all my buffs active and ready to go. And you're just over there like, hey, could you attack me? I kind of need the resource recovery. And because I'm blocking right now, I don't have any stamina recovery. So like, could you help a brother out and attack me? And I'm like, no, I'm trying to get all my buffs back up while you're just sitting there like a goober. That's the problem with a set like this. And obviously for PvE, you could just get better stam and mag recovery sets for your tanks. You could say this is like an introductory, tanking set because it's an overland set. You could see it's very affordable to get. And I don't think it's offensive. I just think that people who try to use this for PvP, you're going to be sadly mistaken. Run Wretched, run Roxas. If you're running intro starter tank sets, there's just significantly better things. But it's not offensive by any means, but I just don't really know what's the best use for a set like this. If you know the best use for a set like this, comment it below. But to me, this is like a 5.5 out of 10. Next up is another Overland set, but this one is from the Deadlands. Now, to point out, I just want to say that the average here is very low, but this set has been out for forever. So keep in mind that just because the average is low doesn't mean the set is bad before we talk about it. So it gives us health, stam recovery, armor. When you deal direct damage, you apply 1 of 5 random major debuffs to all enemies within 8 meters of you for 18 seconds, excuse me. This effect can occur once every 8 seconds and is only active if an enemy is in range. So eligible effects are Major Breach, Major Cowardice, Major Defile, Major Maim, and Major Vulnerability. That's actually pretty helpful. This set actually saw a significant PvP utilization a couple years ago when it first came out. The only issue is that a couple things have happened since this set was released. One, most recently, subclassing. Now it's easier to get major effects that were kind of more difficult for some classes to have access to. And another thing that I think is even more crippling for a set like this is we had subclassing, plus we had the ability to scribe additional skills on top of it. So scribing kind of put this set on the back burner, or people are like, well, if I just want some of these major effects, I'll just use it through there. And then there was subclassing on top of it, and it's like, well, that's like the double whammy. Also, we have a lot of new mythics that come out and just give us a lot, like Sanctin Seducer. We have the Monomyth mythic. You just don't see a whole lot of sets like these used anymore just because of the randomness. And then there are just other better random sets out there. But that being said, this is still a pretty good set. I would still give this an 8 out of 10. You could still build around this. Obviously, you're going to build it in a way that you're not going to be overlapping a lot of your major buffs, because what you don't want to do is already be putting half of these major debuffs on somebody and then still getting them through your 5-piece proc. You're going to have to kind of build it and make sure that you're building it in a very specific way. But you could still do that and make a great build. So for me, 8 out of 10. Not as good as it was. This used to be everywhere. Now it's just somewhere. Next up is one of the most special sets in ESO. It is very excited to talk about because a lot of people have asked, why are so many sets 5 through 10? Well, it's because most sets don't make you worse. This is one of those sets that's really special, that actually takes us below the 5. We'll talk about why. We have to go and talk about what it does. This comes from Castle Thorn. It gives you crit chance, max mag, weapon and spell, and then increase your weapon and spell damage by 372, which is not that much. But this is the fun part. Increase your damage taken from a flame and fighter's guild abilities by 5%. I don't know how often you walk around and just cognizantly recognize that there's flame damage all over the place. We have volcanoes, astronauts that spit fire, players that spit fire, whole dungeons that take place in things called City of Ash. Probably not a good time to just take an increased 5% flame damage when your only benefit is a lukewarm increase to your weapon and spell damage. And taking additional 5% Fighter's Guild damage might seem insignificant, but if you're in PvP, you're just going to eat the Dawnbreaker of Truth significantly harder. And this is just a set that makes you worse. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. It is not as bad as Vampire Lord, which is the only 1 out of 10 set that exists. But this is why we have to have a scale where 5 is just like average random bullshit that you just like acquire like Magneto, and it just sucks to your body. And you're like, well, I'm at least getting set bonuses. This is a set bonus that if you put on, you're like, why am I dying? Why is this worse? And which is hilarious because it's like, how does wearing equipment make you weaker? It is fantastically phenomenal, and I kind of love sets like this. I think ESO should make more sets that make you worse, just because they're fun to talk about. And granted, people would be like, why am I farming a dungeon set from a new dungeon Zoss that arguably is making me worse, like a flagellant set? Probably don't need a set like that, but it would be funny, admittedly, like Vampire Lord and this one. So obviously, don't use this one. And fun fact, back in the day, that used to be 10%. They've actually buffed the set to only be 5%. They used to take 10% increased damage from Dawnbreaker, which stacks with all the other buffs that the other person's wearing when they're beating your ass, and then 10% from all the flame damage in the world. A Dragon Knight was you couldn't sleep because you'd be like, there's so many Dragon Knights in ESO, they're all coming for me with their flame damage and their Dawnbreakers. Oh God. But everyone, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. We actually do have some of the funnest sets in the game. I love Aegis. I also love some of those Dwarven items. I love the little BP plans. Super cool if you're trying to make a workshop. Aegis is always a great set. Some of the other sets are also fun to talk about. I love me some bad sets. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. As always, we're doing our 3 giveaway drawings. All you need to do to enter is leave a comments below / like on the video. Second thing is just be subscribed. We're on the road to 35,000 subscribers. And the third thing is look for a hidden word be flashed upon the screen. If you're the first person to find and comment that word, you will win. There's at least 1 word per month. Thank you guys so much again for watching. Have a happy Black Friday. Have a happy weekend in general. And I'll catch you later. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jakeclips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.